I just saw this video posted by this PSYOP cop, Greg Anderson, on his Instagram page, talking about conspiracy theorists. And basically, his claim is he doesn't know what anybody's talking about as far as the Freemasonic connections, which are absolutely ridiculous that he makes his claims. Of course, this whole entire debacle with Greg Anderson is set up. He's covered on the mainstream media as well. And a huge flag appearing on Fox News. And one thing I want to point out before playing the video clip, just take a look at Greg Anderson during the whole entire interview. He's constantly looking to his right. And I find that very interesting looking into this. It talks about eye direction and liars. A number of studies talk about the direction of eyes during lies. Typically, when people look up and to the right, they are lying or tapping into their imagination. When they look up and to the left, they are remembering or recalling something, tapping into their memory part of the brain. But again, definitely, he's constantly looking to his right during this interview, and let's get right to it.
Port of Seattle police officer Greg Anderson. He was put on leave earlier this week. The police chief says Anderson's suspension had nothing to do with his anti-lockdown views. Is that really the case? Was this coincidence? Greg Anderson joins me now. Greg, your police chief says you were suspended because you were wearing a uniform in that video. Were you urging people to commit a crime, Greg?
Absolutely not. Yeah, it's interesting how initially...
And there he goes, looking to the right. And again, he's going to constantly do this throughout the whole entire interview. And let's continue.
It was put out to me that the video needed to come down, and it was obvious that it was due to the content, but then it was looked into and they needed to find a policy violation in order to terminate me over it. So, it's still under investigation. We'll see how it shakes out, but I think it's pretty clear the reason why they wanted the video taken down.
Greg, if you were in your uniform and committing an act of charity, helping someone cross the street, a cat out of the tree on your off, as you were driving home off duty, they had your uniform on, I don't think they would have probably had a problem with that. I mean, it makes no sense. You're expressing your own views about a really important situation that affects the lives of everyone in Seattle, this continued shutdown. What has been the reaction to people who've seen your video now that it's gone completely viral?
It's actually been overwhelming. The whole point of the video was to bridge the gap between the citizens and law enforcement, because these orders that are going out is causing a lot of tension. And in my opinion, it's going to cause violence at some point. And so we've literally received tens of thousands of emails from both citizens and law enforcement.
Let's stop right there. Talking about causing violence, planting a seed in the minds of the people. They want this divide. It's all about divide and conquer, and he's definitely part of it. And at certain points, again, he's looking to his right, sometimes looking down like he's checking his notes, reading off a script. And I can't say it enough. You're on mainstream media. This is meant to happen, meant to be put out there. They're not going to have someone on TV, being interviewed on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, unless they're controlled. And they have to control the outcome of these events. Let's continue on a little bit more.
Thanking me for speaking out, helping kind of open people's eyes, helping law enforcement officers kind of look inward and ask themselves if they're doing the right thing when they're out enforcing these orders.
Yeah, Governor Inslee yesterday or the day before said, if you don't comply with the stay-at-home orders, well, he said, we'll bring you your food and your medication if our contact tracers find that you are positive. Even if you show no symptoms, they'll bring you food. But my question is, what if people decide, well, I'm not doing this? They're going to ask you or your colleagues to do what? Put a lock on the door?
Yeah, enough of this. You can see him. You get to the point of this. He's like a child lying. It's very obvious, very clear. He's not very confident what he's saying. Always look to the right. And I'm going to get to the topic, of course, of the bald earth programming in the back in just a bit. First off, before I even continue on, at the very end of this video presentation, I'll play my previous video exposing him as a Masonic cop. Let's get right to the video itself. And again, a lot of interesting connections. One thing I want to point out, he does mention, before I play the video, he does mention how he quit the police force approximately 2015. I made a video stating at a certain aspect, of course, like he stated, he quit the police force, but he returned. That doesn't mean he's legit. Of course not. He's part of this psychological operation. They control both sides of the pantomime. Let's get right to the video.
My plan was just to take the Joe Rogan approach and completely ignore the haters, because it's inevitable as soon as you start to get any kind of notoriety online. But I got a message this morning from a guy in Houston, Texas. It's like, hey, bro, I threw some money at your GoFundMe, and then I found out everything you said was a fraud, and I'm pretty upset about that. So this is for people that have believed in what I said and may have supported us through the GoFundMe and then have heard contrary things after the fact, okay? So I'm just going to kind of give you a quick play-by-play of some of the documents that I have supporting what I've told you guys, okay? So anyone that knows what a DD-214 is, this is mine, okay?
So on this point, he's trying to prove that he's a real cop, his past military experience, and all this, and that's meaningless because, of course, like I stated many times, people in the military at certain levels and the police force, they take part in psychological operations. So him basically trying to discount any claims that he's not a real cop, that's meaningless. Because again, these people are part of many, many psychological operations, as I covered many times in the past. Let's get right back to what he says here.
If you've ever served in the military, you know what this document means. And right there, it says I was stationed at Alpha Company 275, which is 2nd Ranger Battalion. And if you look down at the awards, Ranger tab, and Combat Infantryman Badge, meaning I served in combat, okay? So it's just supporting what I'm telling you guys, and I'm going to go through these things and show you. Here's a picture of when I was a young PFC.
Yeah, I'm going to stop right here. Again, he's just going to go over how, you know, he was in the military. Again, he was in the police force, and I never stated he was never a police officer. He was never in the military. I did question that he did say he retired from the police force back, 3-4 years ago, and then he returned. So there's a lot of questions regarding that, but I came to find out that he actually returned approximately 2018. But nonetheless, of course, he's in that police vehicle. I never said he was in a fake uniform in a fake police car. I just want to make that perfectly clear. And of course, again, he's part of this psychological operation. Now, I found this pretty interesting here. Let's take a look at this portion of the video where, again, he talks about conspiracy theorists, so-called conspiracy theorists. Let's take a listen.
The last thing I'll say is all these comments coming in about my jiu-jitsu team. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever heard in my life. So this is one of my jiu-jitsu shirts. This is when I was under Buchecha down in California. Okay, if you look at the back here.
Now, what are the chances of this with the back of this sweater with Corona, California? Of course, with the whole Corona psyop that's taken place, and he's wearing this Corona, California in the back sweater for this checkmate jiu-jitsu school. Give me a break. And what does this remind you, of course, with anybody that's followed my channel over the years, covering our fake scripted reality, our fake reality, just like Kobe Bryant, this whole debacle as well, supposed being buried in Corona del Mar, California. And of course, as I shown before in Hebrew, with COVID meaning Kobe. And of course, just like this whole debacle with the Corona bug, you have, and just for quick reference, for those that have not seen my videos on this whole Kobe Bryant debacle, this fakery with the helicopter crash, supposed helicopter crash, where we have this scene here where basically this is fake. You know, you have your white smoke. No way you would have white smoke with all the jet fuel, the plastics, the styrofoam, the wiring. This is a real helicopter crash in the Middle East. Pure black smoke. This is a real crash. And this is your fake phony one made for the world stage. And you can clearly see two smokestacks. These are basically military grade canisters releasing this smoke. This is not a real crash. So again, this is very relevant with all these controlled, contrived stories that are going on. Just so happen again with Kobe and being buried at Corona. And as I shown, Corona in the back of this police officer's shirt or sweater, I should say. And this is obviously around the whole Corona bug. So what are the chances of this? This is scripted, made to happen, obviously. And also, of course, on the very front, Buchecha. And just an amazing coincidence, I guess, right, Greg? With Buchecha being 33. Unbelievable. And getting back to the Corona itself, just happens to be 33 in a reverse full reduction with gematria. And the important symbolism with the Corona itself. That have not seen my previous videos on the topic, with the Corona or the crown symbolism, which they use on the World Health Organization logo. And you have the serpent. And again, the Corona itself represents the wreath or crown. Just like you see here, a little bit of a close-up of the text. Again, Corona means wreath or crown. And just like the flat earth model, as the WHO logo with the Corona around the flat earth and of course the 33 segments. And obviously this is not all just a big coincidence. You got to be a coincidence theorist to believe this is all just a coincidence, with all the signs and symbols in plain sight as usual, and of course the black and white with Freemasonry. The whole ball earth versus flat earth debate taking place, and what do you see here in plain sight? They always have their little props. What do you see here? The globe, and of course, without a shadow of a doubt, just a prop put in plain sight. And it gets back to this portion of the video I played previously. Let's take a quick listen at this very short comment he makes here towards the end of his video.
But, I've always wanted to circumnavigate the globe on a sailboat, so maybe it's time to chase that dream.
And this is definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, a psyop within a psyop. You're not living on this ridiculous spinning ball earth. And as I've shown in previous videos, they even tell us little Easter eggs in plain sight. As always, look at the details. The devil's always in the details. At the bottom of this globe, not only does it state that these globes have chemicals in them that causes birth defects and cancers, it also states globes are not meant for educational use, for decorative purposes only. So again, this is a 2-for-1 psyop. And as I stated, I'm going to play my previous video going over all these details. But again, the whole purpose of this video demonstration is this psyop cop showing his credentials like it makes him any more legit. And I like the one eye symbolism here as well. Just completely ridiculous. And people have to understand, got to be a little bit savvy and understand these people. They present themselves as so-called heroes. Nothing could be further from the truth. And again, I'll play my previous videos again exposing this psyop cop for what he is. Nothing but a Freemason deceiver. I'm sure many are aware of Greg Anderson, this Seattle-based police officer speaking up for the people, supposedly on the side of the people, and I'm not buying it for a second. This is controlled opposition, and I have evidence to state my case, and I'm going to first off show a little bit of what he says here for those that have not have seen what he stated. Just some clips. You can watch the whole video on YouTube or Instagram where he posted his original video. I believe it's around 700,000 views at this moment. Anyways, let's get right to it. What he says here, and I'm going to expose this guy as, again, nothing but controlled opposition. Let's take a look.
You don't get to just say, well, I'm doing this because I was told to do so, or I'm following orders, or I need to keep this job. Guess what? I need to keep this job more than anybody. I have 3 young children. I have 2 houses. I have the same sob story that the rest of you guys have. But my personal choices and my living arrangements, no matter what they are, don't allow me to trample on people's rights. And I don't understand why that concept is so hard for people to understand. Listen, you need to stand up for what's right. You need to, if you're part of a department or an agency that is asking people
or asking their officers or their deputies to impose on people's rights and infringe on their freedoms, you need to step up and say, no, that's not me. That's not what I signed up for, and that's going against my oath. And if that costs you your job, so be it. At least you'll be able to look at yourself in the mirror at night. I've already expressed this to my department. And luckily for me, I come from a department that I feel like my chain of command shares my view, but I don't care what department you're part of or what your chain of command thinks. You don't get to trample on people's liberty.
Now I'm going to stop right there. And basically, he goes on a little bit more. And what happens here, I'm going to continue on with his follow-up video. Basically, after posting this, initially, supposedly he was supported by his department. And after it received more views, the video received more views, then supposedly they want to take the video down. They want him to remove the video. And he refuses to. And supposedly, again, having 2 houses, a wife, and 3 children, he's going to sacrifice, the ability to support them based on supposed principle. But I don't think so. He knows he's covered on the back end. And of course, him being on the inside, being a police officer, and many police departments, of course, they're trained at the higher levels on psychological operations. And of course, he's covered. He wouldn't do this. He'd put his family first and not do this out of principle, like I stated. So again, I'm not buying it, and more connections will be made as we move along in the video, but I'm going to let you hear what he says in his own words.
I had received a message from my command saying, wow, Greg, what a powerful message. We agree with that 100%. Well done. And that was actually a relief for me, because I was like, great. I know that it's risky putting something out like that, but I felt like it was so grounded in integrity and liberty that no one would have an issue with it. So that was a relief. And then fast forward 3 hours later, I get another phone call from my command, and it said, hey Greg, the video's up to 400,000 views. It's time to pull the plug on this thing. Told by both the agency and the union that I was asked to take it down, and I refused. So that's refusing a direct order. It's an insubordination charge, and it will result in me ultimately being let go from the agency. And I said, you know what? If that's what you guys have to do, if that video is so bad that you want to take my career from me and you want to leave my, potentially take my ability away to provide for my family because of that video, do it.
So he's willing to sacrifice his career, his livelihood, his way of supporting, again, his wife, his children, paying off his mortgage for his homes, his whole entire livelihood over this principle. Again, I'm not buying it 1 second. And I want to get to this portion here where it's basically, I'm going to make a lot of connections. And this one here is regarding the ball earth, flat earth debate. And for those that are new to my channel that have not seen my previous videos, they're going to understand exactly what's happening here with what he says here towards the end. Take a listen.
To back down or feel sorry for myself or give in and say, you know what, I got kids and I think I'm just going to take the letter. No, if they want to do me like this for standing up for liberty, they can do that. I'll leave you guys with this. It's on to the new adventure for me. I've been doing different things my whole life, and I'm actually excited, to tell you the truth. If you know of anyone accepting resumes, hit me up, because I might need it in the near future. But, I've always wanted to circumnavigate the globe on a sailboat, so maybe it's time to chase that dream.
So forget about your wife, your kids, your home, your mortgage, and just basically be a world traveler on sailing around the globe, the supposed globe, on a sailboat. This doesn't make sense. This doesn't add up. I don't see any stress in him whatsoever. Because again, this is not real. This is not a real so-called leader. In truth, he's, of course, put up to this. They control both sides of this pantomime. And basically, this is a major divide, of course, that's happening. They want this country split 50-50 on these type of events. And I have no doubt whatsoever he's part of this psychological operation. Again, I'm going to get into the globe aspect that he brings up, because it's been a steady theme with the globe flat earth talk, with all the virus talk that's been happening over the years. That brings me to this clip, which I showed previously, with this so-called victim of the virus itself, and the topic of flat earth is mentioned out of nowhere. Take a listen for those that have not seen it before.
Spreads fast. I mean, the world is flat now in a sense that we're all very, very connected.
And again, this is the Easter egg of truth when it comes to the psyops. And as I shown before, with this Dr. Agus, and again, mentioning Zika, then he goes on to say the earth is flat a couple times. Again, this is how they do it. Mixing lies and truth, truth with lies, with all these psychological operations, planting seeds for what's to come, with again him talking about how viruses are going to spread as well. Take a listen.
And we now know that these mosquitoes can get Zika virus very easily from biting somebody, and the world is flat, right? Zika will be the first of many viruses over the years because the world is flat.
That's a very important statement he just made there, of course, scripted, saying how there will be many viruses to come, basically. Then again, talking the truth about the flat earth. And again, that gets back to this comment by the Seattle police officers talking about, circumnavigating the globe. I mean, again, how this all ties in, how it all fits in. It's just like the common theme of flattening the curve, of course, a flat earth reference as well. I want to move on from this topic, this aspect of flat earth versus globe. But again, this is definitely proving that this is 100% scripted with all the talk about flat earth and globe. And this is very essential, very pertinent to understand that he's just basically reading off a script. This is not from him, 100%. Now, let's take a look here at some very interesting connections. And as always, they out themselves with G.R. Anderson 33. And like I said, close to 700,000 views on Instagram. And take a look here at his actual profile. Again, you see the G.R. Anderson 33, the one eye symbolism, the checkmate, the black and white for Freemasonry, and his wife is J. Andy 333. So again, the numbers are always there. And let's take a look at his GoFundMe. This is why he wasn't stressed out. He wasn't worried whatsoever. They had this all planned out. And look at this, over $250,000 already, basically in one day. Okay? And I find it interesting too, Jessica McLaughlin, and you have the laugh in the name, is the organizer for this fundraiser on the behalf, I guess, of his wife. So again, this is why he had no stress whatsoever. He's going to circumnavigate the globe, not worry about his wife and children, because he has to have a good time. He's adventurous. No, he knew this was going to happen. They know they're going to set this up. This was going to happen with his GoFundMe. They know, the people that run this world know people are very gullible. They're going to fall for this hook, line, and sinker, and he would be cashing in like nothing else. And if you think he's a hero, then you might as well believe Elon Musk's a hero as well, with him supposedly defying the stay-at-home order. And he basically asked for an arrest. This is another pantomime, just like this fake, phony hero. Again, then you're going to believe Elon Musk. This liar, this piece of garbage, this fraud is a hero as well. Again, they're controlling both sides of the debate. They're not going to have, someone such as myself or other truth speakers lead the truth movement. They want to lead it with people like this. They're controlled opposition. And that's exactly what's happening right now. And unfortunately, a lot of truthers are falling for this. It's unfortunate they haven't learned. They get older, but they're not getting wiser, falling for the same tricks over and over and over again. And again, just take a look here, clicking on his profile. And he has Elon Musk here, American Spirit of Defiance. Yeah, this guy, you really believe Elon Musk is some type of hero. You are dead asleep. If you believe this guy's a hero, you're dead asleep as well. 100%. And of course, police being a Masonic organization, with police itself being 33 in numerology, as I show many times, and the G, when you look at the alphabet, A through Z is 1 through 26. You flip over the alphabet, you land on G, it's 33. So you get your dual 33s when it comes to Freemasonry, just like I've shown so many times with the Grand Sovereign Commander, Luther Smith. And there you have your dual 33s. So every time you look also at the name itself, police, you know, basically it is the esoteric meaning with having that 33 in plain sight. For those that understand the occultic side with numerology, you're looking at the number 33, and of course the black and white symbolism on the hats and the gloves themselves, which Freemasons often wear, and of course the black and white, once again, within the Masonic Lodge. So it's very easy to see. You cannot be trusting someone that's involved in this Masonic organization. At the top, he said he was a cop for 10 years, and I don't trust him again. It's pretty obvious, and you shouldn't trust him either. If you do, in my mind, you're deceived. And more interesting little tidbits about the whole Masonic organization with the police departments. Just look at these handcuffs. This one pair hanging. What do you get here? You get your 3, and of course you hang 2, you get your 33. Okay, this is how they do it. Now another interesting thing I want to point out, how we live in a very corrupt system. Might be off topic. I just want to demonstrate this very quickly here with this one video I seen online with a police officer pulling over a judge. Okay, let's take a look here. And the reason, supposedly, was the judge was honking his horn. And you'll see him pull over right here. And just take a listen to the interaction that takes place. And again, you'll see how corrupt our system is. There is no justice system. Take a look as the judge exits his car.
Sir, go back into your car. I'll be with you in a second.
You better check the registration on this plate soon, mister.
And look at the cop. He knows he's screwed up. Who's in charge here? As the cop runs the tags, and he finds out shortly he's screwed up.
Have a good day, Judge.
You bet.
Just demonstrating, again, there's no justice system whatsoever. This is corruption, and it's very clear to see how we live in a system that is obviously not very fair. And moving along here to this one aspect I want to point out as well when it comes to the numbers with contagion. This is what it all revolves. This whole presentation revolves around a supposed virus. And this is what it's about. Getting back to G. Anderson again, basically 33 Anderson. And it gets back to this predictive programming from this movie Contagion, of course, which was released, as you see, 9/9/11, or basically September 9th, 2011. And the vaccine number 33 for the supposed contagion virus for the movie. And again, this is where fiction meets reality, where Donald Trump states they have a vaccine, remdesivir, for COVID-19. And as you can see here, again, for COVID-19, this so-called treatment. And again, the numbers are always there. And the company that's actually producing it, located in Foster City, California. And again, the number 333 Lakeside Drive. Again, in Foster City. So you have your 333. Now, take a look here. Very interesting. Again, as always with the numbers. With, of course, the actual so-called vaccine being 33 as well. Amazing. Again, the fictitious movie with the actual number 33 and the one supposedly for the real world, the actual fake world we live in, very fake, and you have the 33 as well. Of course, not by chance, not by coincidence. And again, taking a look here at this headline from today with the company itself, 127 countries strike a deal with this company for this remdesivir vaccine. Now, getting back to, again, G. Anderson, this is really to seal the deal, to close the case on this Masonic deceiver. And again, it's all about signs and symbols when it comes to Freemasonry. And again, this will basically seal the deal. All the connections I already made. And just take a look at the shirt he's wearing. And what do you see? Basically, which I've shown many times in my video presentations, the dual-headed eagle of Freemasonry. It's all about order out of chaos. Clear as day. And this is not the only time he's wore this t-shirt. Take a look here as well. Again, wearing the same shirt. And the Ruka company, basically you see here in the parent company is Quicksilver, and Quicksilver is 33 in numerology as well. And it's the balance of opposites. Clearly all about Freemasonry, as above, so below, with the logo itself. And also here, we're in this Waypoint company logo, and Waypoint being 33. Not by chance, not by coincidence. And just take a look at this last photo here from his Instagram. Again, GR Anderson 33. What do you see here? The skull symbolism, as in skull and bones. Just like you see here with George Bush, which many people have seen already with the skull and bones once again. It's just the skull with this photo, but again, with all the connections being made here, clear as day, this guy is on the inside and just playing the role. And again, one thing is very important, very pertinent, is during this last video he made, no signs of stress, no signs of worry. Again, I said it many times, you cannot fake real. There's nothing real about this guy in my estimation. And of course, like I said, with all the information I provided, all the proofs, without a shadow of a doubt, he's on the inside, and he was put up to this 100% without a shadow of a doubt. So again, people have to put the pieces together, have better discernment. Of course, they're gonna have these people come out and say things you want to hear, and that's part of the bait. And they definitely want to divide, and he's definitely part of it. It's all about the divide and conquer. And again, they definitely want to lead both sides of each debate, just like left and right politics. If you like the Republican side or the Democratic side, doesn't matter. Just pick a side and let someone lead you. And we got to get away from that and have our own minds and not look for these fake, phony heroes who tell you who they worked for through signs and symbols. Nothing new under the sun. Same tricks are being played in the masses over and over again. And unfortunately, a lot of so-called truthers are falling for the trap as well.
Gonna get myself connected. I ain't gonna go blind when the light wedge is reflected. See through you, see through you, I see through you, I see through you. The dirty tricks you make me sick.